Okay. All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to this MS Teams webinar learning series. So here are some few housekeeping points about how we want to run this session. So please keep yourself muted throughout the course of the session. It's quite possible that even without you realizing, you might have unmuted yourself, but please make sure that you have muted yourself because this session is getting recorded. And we will be taking questions at the end of this session. So if at all you have any questions, please park them. We will be having a Q&A session towards the end of our session today. So then that would be the right time for you to unmute yourself or post it on the chat and get your doubts clarified. And apart from that, during the course of this session, if at all you have any questions, maybe while I'm doing a demo, or maybe when Vijay is doing a demo, or we are talking about a certain point, and if you have a doubt about it, please keep posting that in the chat, because at the end of the session, we'll be going through all the questions which you have asked on the chat. And of course, from this meetup group, we are doing a lot of webinars. The SPFX webinar series has been successful and it has been running for almost a month now. And now we have started with the MS Teams webinar learning series, and we have plans to come up with Power Platform, Azure, Dynamics 365, and there is a lot that we have planned. And this is the link for our meetup group. So please feel free to go ahead and join, and so that you can get benefited from this meetup group. And of course, today's webinar is being recorded. And once we are done with our session today, we will be sending the recording as well as the PowerPoint decks. Okay. So our webinar today is going to be for about 90 minutes because we have a lot to discuss. But then, as I said, we expect you to hang on till the end, because if you have any questions, at the end we will be taking them. All right, let's move on. So today our session is going to be on what's new in Microsoft Teams, right? So Teams has been around for almost 3 years now, and this product, similar to any other Office 365 product, it gets a lot of updates, and it's quite possible to stay on top of all those updates and understand what is coming up new. So which is when we decided that we might need to start up a session like this, so that we tell our audiences like, hey, this is what is really coming up new, and you better be informed so that you can start using this product. Okay. And as I said, this is going to be a webinar series, which means we have planned a lot of sessions under MS Teams. And just to give you a rough understanding of how things are going to look like, this is what we have planned. So under Teams development, we are planning about 5 to 6 sessions. And for IT pros, for Teams administration, we have planned about 3 to 4 sessions. And basically, governance is an important piece which you can't avoid today, right? So we have one session on that. And the security and compliance side of things, we are planning about 2 sessions. And last but not least, the intelligent communication piece as well, things such as your voice, meetings, meeting room systems, devices, and there is a huge bunch of things in that side of the world, right? So we are planning about 3 to 4 sessions in that area as well. So about myself, so my name is Vignesh Ganeshan. So I work as a technical specialist for Microsoft India. I've been a blogger for quite some time, so I write on my own blog site, Vignesh SharePoint Thoughts, and I also write for European SharePoint Community, Collab 365, C Sharp Corners. I do a lot of public speaking. I speak on webinars, I speak on conferences, I speak on user groups, and I also organize the SharePoint Saturday events, and there's a lot of other events that we organize, such as your Global Power Platform Bootcamp, Azure Bootcamp, M365 Developer Bootcamp, and so on. And I'm an ambassador for the AOS community, and I'm the chapter lead for C Sharp Corner. And over the years, I've done more than close to like 13 plus Microsoft certifications. Now that's all about myself. And over to you, Vijay.
Yeah, myself Vijay. I'm working as a technical architect in Cognizant, and I'm a Microsoft MVP. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. So this is going to be our agenda today. Of course, what's new in Microsoft Teams, and we have come up with these are the pillars that we will be discussing about here, right? So we'll first be talking about what's new for end users. So when we say end users, we want to help you understand what is that we have released for the desktop client, for the mobile app, as well as what we have for the web app as well, right? And as I said, things keep coming very rapidly, and it's quite hard to stay on top of it. So we decided that let's talk from an end user perspective first, and then we'll be discussing about what's new for administrators, and then of course what's new for developers. And then we cannot, security is such a matter of prime importance today, and you cannot avoid it, right? So we'll be talking about what is new for security and compliance folks. I mean, in most of the scenarios, it is basically the Office 365 admin who would be wearing the hat of the security and compliance role as well, right? So we'll be talking from that aspect as well, and mainly for voice architects, right? So Teams is just not a product which is meant for collaboration. It has a lot on the other side of things, such as your voice, meetings, devices, and there is a lot which happens there. So if at all you come from that background, we have some updates for you as well. And then we'll be spending some time talking about the roadmap. And also, I felt that there are some new resources which we keep updating quite frequently from Microsoft, which you should be aware of. So myself and Vijay, we had quite some fun, putting all these topics to you, so that we wanted to make sure that we are giving you what exactly you might be looking for, rather than overloading you with too much of data. Okay. Now, just to begin with, let's try to understand what Microsoft Teams is. I'm pretty sure anybody who has joined this session today wouldn't be aware of what Teams is, because I'm pretty sure most of you might be working on Teams at least as an end user. And if you think about the product itself, right? So what exactly is the urge, or what exactly was the need for a product like this to even come up, right? And these are some numbers which it's just not coming from Microsoft. These are some survey results which comes up from Gallup, or maybe it could be from Deloitte, or it could be from EY or McKinsey and Company, and so on, right? So 86% of leaders cite lack of collaboration or ineffective communication for top reason of workplace failures, right? And while 45 percentage of the leaders are working on implementing a web-based collaboration, 65 percentage of leaders agree that moving from a hierarchical to a team-based approach is the right way to go, and that is what would lead to success, right? But sadly, only 7% say that they're ready for this. Now, with a scenario like this is when a need for a tool such as Microsoft Teams comes into picture, right? And I believe you might have heard it like probably like 1,000 times by now. People might have told you that Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365, right? And I'm not going to tell anything different apart from that, because when I talk to my customers and try to help them understand what Teams is, right? Because as a part of my role, I talk to customers every day, and I end up doing a lot of demos to them every day, right? So what I tell them is, see, the first thing when you come to office is, what is the first app that you open? And he says, Outlook. And then he says, I go through my emails. For some emails I might have to respond, and for some emails I have to start chatting with people, and then I have a good amount of meetings which I need to join. And maybe for some meetings I have to be a part of it, for some meetings I might have to present. And in addition to that, there is a lot of apps, line of business apps, right? These could be apps such as your leave management app. This could be your your payslip app. This could be your some kind of HR based app which you need to open, right? And if you think about this, right, within let's say you start your job around 10 a.m. in the morning. By 11 a.m. you at least have some, so not less than 20 tabs open. And that is how we all work as a part of our day-to-day life, right? So what if everything could be bought under one single console, so that you don't have to come up with this extra sprawl of applications there, so that you don't have to click here, click that to get things done. Now that is what Microsoft Teams is all about, and that is what we mean by hub for teamwork, an application which can bring everything together under one single console, right? Now, as we know, Teams, it has chat and collaboration, it has meetings and calling, and then it of course has apps and workflow, right? So as I was saying, right, it is just not a collaboration tool, it is also a tool which where you can have your apps running, your workflows running, and there is a lot that you could do about it. And by now, most of you who have joined this session would be aware of all the capabilities of Teams. This is not new to you, but just in case if you haven't explored the app and workflow side of things, please start doing that. And what can Teams do for your business? It can transform workplace collaboration, as we just spoke, and it can streamline your business processes. As I said, a lot of workflows and apps which it has, it's quietly integrated with the Power Platform side of things, right? So if at all you want to streamline your business processes, you can have some kind of workflows or apps running in Teams, and it can connect everyone on a single platform, right? So that is really need of the hour now. That's what we are basically concerned about, right? And last but not least, it provides enterprise grade security and compliance. right? Because at the end of the day, I can say that, hey, this product is really cool, it has hundreds of such great capabilities, but if the security goes for a toss, no customer is going to buy the product, right? And from Microsoft, we always make sure that security is our top concern. And we give the customers the kind of a lot of security comes inbuilt within the product, and then on top of that, there are a lot of security features which you can purchase as an add-on and apply to safeguard the product. And in our data centers, there is a lot of security stuff that we do to make sure that your data is always safe. And you have a good amount of management interface for teams, wherein you as an admin can go ahead and control things and make sure that you know the team's workload is safe in your tenant. From a customer momentum perspective, so Teams has been, I think we have crossed 3 years now. So Team has been out there for almost 3 years. And this is a customer momentum. Almost 500K organization are using Teams. 91 out of Fortune 100 companies are using Teams. So Teams is, we are supporting about 53 languages, and 350 customers have 10K or more active users. This is sort of the employee base, right? And then we have about 20 million daily active users who are using Teams. So if at all you're concerned about, hey, how is this product currently doing in the market, this is what it is. Now let's jump into our core, the meat of today's presentation. So we'll begin by talking about what's new for end users, right? So we'll talk about the desktop and mobile app. And as I said, there are so many features which came up, but then we wanted to really focus on the ones which we felt as these are really noteworthy ones, which you might have to pay attention to, right? So in that aspect, these are the set of features which we wanted to talk about and demo to you today. And with that being said, let me hand it over to Vijay. So Vijay, over to you.
Sure. I'm just sharing my screen.
Sure.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yep, it is coming up, Vijay. Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Okay. Am I audible also?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. As Vignesh was mentioning, we'll first see what's new for end users, especially with the desktop and web app. Okay. So as he was mentioning, there are a lot of features that are keep on rolling out every month. Okay. So we have taken only few things which has been rolled out in last 2 to 3 months. Okay. So we'll go through one by one. First thing is attendees who dial in bypass the meeting lobby. So consider a case in most of our meetings, what will happen is we'll join through phones and we need to wait for the someone to admit us, or we will be waiting in the lobby, right? And even the organizers or someone has to just go and check if someone is joined like that, they need to admit it. So what you can do is you can bypass that meeting lobby. So whenever the users join through phone, they can directly get into the call without waiting in the lobby. So that option has been introduced now. Okay, once the meeting has been scheduled, the organizer have an option for this one. Okay, I'll just quickly go to that. So if you see, I've already scheduled a meeting. Okay, and I am the organizer for this meeting. I'll just double click on this one. And you can see something called meeting options. I'll just open that. It opens in a new browser and you can see all the options over here. Always let callers bypass the lobby. You have a this thing, yes or no option, which you can enable it. Okay. So and also if you
Hey Vijay, sorry to interrupt. If you can turn on the live caption preview also in Teams,
one minute.
in your Teams client, yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so you have an option to allow to callers bypass the lobby, and might be here you will have an yes or no option. In some cases, it is maintained at the admin level also. Okay, so admin has to enable that option in case if we need to use it. Okay, so this is one thing. How you can allow the attendees to bypass the meeting lobby instead of they are waiting in the lobby. Okay, and this can be done only by the organizer. Okay, and announce when callers join a meeting. This is one more option which is available as part of this meeting options. So here you have again a yes or no option. Announce when callers join or leave. So whenever the new user joins or leave the meeting, then it will be just announced in it will be announced. Okay, so you have that option. Again, the organizer can enable this option once the meeting has been scheduled. Okay, by going through the meeting options. And the next one is end the meeting for everyone. So generally when you join the meeting, and most of the times even we does that, right? Once the meeting got over, we just leave the screen as it is and we just leave it, right? So now we have an option to end the meeting. Okay, so being an organizer, meeting organizer, once the meeting has been done, you can see this option called end meeting. So once this has been clicked, it will be ended for everyone. Whomever has participated, it will be ended for everyone. Okay, so this applies to the meeting. Whenever you join the meeting, this option will be available, and only the meeting organizers can see this particular option. Okay. Next one is improvements to the Teams calendar. So if you see, I'll just quickly go to the Teams calendar. Okay, just quickly go here, calendar. So you can see I have two meetings. One is someone has scheduled with me. So if I just right click over here, I can see all the options available here. Okay, no need to double click on it and then go and accept, or no need to do anything. So I can just accept it. RSVP is there, and you can chat with the participants, and also you can join online from here. Okay, so these options are available over here for the meeting invite. Okay, and yeah, so these are the options for the Teams calendar. These are the new features that has been introduced in last few months before. And the next feature is a new Teams and Outlook integrated experience. So when you're in Microsoft Teams, right, you will be doing one-to-one chat or group chats, and even do the channel conversations will be there, right? In case, like if you want to share that particular conversation to Outlook, there is an option available for that. Okay, I'll just quickly go to the Teams and go to some channel over here. So if you see here, for example, consider that chat conversation is there, and if you just click on the more options, you will find an option to share it to Outlook. So just when you open that, it will come up with a pop-up where you need to enter the email address. Okay, and then that message can be sent to the Outlook also. And even you can attach the attachments and all those things. Okay, in case in like if you want to keep a track of the, if you just want to keep it in an Outlook, you can do this one. You can share it to Outlook. And also there is an option from Outlook to share it to Teams also. But unfortunately, I'm not able to see that option in Outlook. Okay, but this is what it looks like from Teams to Outlook. So you just need to provide the email address over here, and you can attach files, or even if you want to do something, you can do it, customize it, and then you can share it with the Outlook. Okay. And also, like while you're working offline, also like when you're offline, even you can use the desktop app basically. Okay, you can read and create the messages, pin the chats and channels. So all these things you can do it. Obviously, once you're online, then whatever the messages that you're sent, it will be delivered. Okay, so but you can still make use of that desktop app, and you can read and create the messages and all those things. So next feature, if you see, it is tags. Okay, I'll just quickly go to Microsoft Teams. I'll tell you why, what is the importance of this particular tags feature. Okay, consider I have a team, okay, which is I have already created called Teams webinar. And here, if you see, this is mainly for the webinar series. So consider there will be speakers, there will be organizers, there will be volunteers. Oh, everyone will be making use of this team for doing the conversations and setting up the meetings, scheduling the webinars and all those things. Okay, consider I want to tag the people. Okay, I want all the speakers to be tagged to be tagged. Okay, and all the volunteers to be tagged, and all the organizers to be tagged. Okay, so tag is basically you can add multiple people to a specific tag, and using that tag can be mentioned over there and during the conversation. Okay, so for example, in a tag I have 5 people, and when I want to send any conversation or send any message, I can mention that particular tag and send it. All those 5 people will get the notification. Okay, so I'll quickly go and create a tag. Okay, so whenever you go to any team, you can see something called manage tags. Okay, I'll just click on it. I don't have any tags created. I'll create a new one. So I'll put it as organizers. Okay, and I can add people also. And when you're typing here, it will show the only the members, team members. It will not show the other people. Okay, so you can tag only the members who are already part of this particular team. Okay, otherwise when you type the name, it will not display anything. Okay, so I'm just adding myself and Vignesh over here and creating it. Okay, and if you see organizers, you can see my both of my names, and you can keep adding them on whatever you want to do. You can add it. Similarly, you can create multiple tags like this. Okay, I'm not just going to create anything. I'll keep one tag, and then when you're doing the conversations, right, I can just to put mention it at the rate. Just need to mention that organizers, so you can see it. Yeah, so the tag you can mention it in the conversation. So two people have this tag. I have added myself and Vignesh into it. So when I just do it, organizers. So this is how you can do it. You can tag it. Basically, you can tag a certain set of people based on a group or department or based on any other criteria. You can have a tag and you can mention that tag in the during the conversations. Okay. And even if you go here to manage teams, okay, so tags, you have this options as a being the owner, you have these options who can add tags and all those things. Okay, so if you see only members or only owners or even the members can add it. And even when you go to the members directly, so for example, these are the members, right? And these are the team members. So even if you see here, you have this option called tags. So Vignesh has been tagged to organizers. If I want to tag it directly, I can do it here also. I can manage the tags from here also. Okay, and when you're adding people to a tag, when you're tagging your people, basically they should be part of this particular team, otherwise it will not be shown. Okay, so this is the new feature. Okay, and going to the next one, pin your favorite apps. So again, like when you go to teams, you can add the favorite tabs. For example, generally by default, it will be having activity, chat, teams, calendar, calls, files, right? So in case if I want to add any new app, so I can do that also. I just want to add a stream. Okay, I want to pin that in my thing. So once I add this one, I can just right click and pin this one. Okay, so this will be available to me. Okay, so like that, you can add all your favorite apps in your left navigation. Okay. Again, next one is a read receipt. So whenever you send any one-to-one message, one-to-one chat, or do any conversations in the channel, obviously once a message has been sent, once a text has been sent, then you will have this notification. Like generally in WhatsApp and all, you have this. So it has been delivered, and also once it has been viewed by the other user, you will see this seen confirmation icon. Okay, and again, these things are all control. Like you can manage it at the admin level also. Being the tenant, like being the team's admin, you have these options which you can put it in the as part of the policies also. Okay, so and this also works for the group chats and also for the channels. Like group chats, like if there are 10 people in the group, then it will show how many people have read it. Okay, and it will work up to 20 members basically. Okay, so this is basically whenever a message has been sent and message has been viewed, you will see the different icons when you're doing the conversations or chats. Okay. And the next feature is edit the post. So basically, when you want to announce something to the multiple channels, you have an option now. So you want to post something to multiple channels. You can select the channels, all the channels to which you want to post some announcement or a message. Okay, consider I want to announce something to multiple channels for 5 channels. Okay, and in the future, like after I have posted it, I just think like I need to do something or edit something. Okay, previously there was no option to do that. Now what you can do is you have an option to edit that particular post so that it will be updated in all the other channels also. Okay, so I'll quickly show that particular feature, how you can post a particular message to multiple channels and how you can edit that particular thing. So I'll just go to Teams. Okay, I don't have many channels, but quickly I'll create a channel over here. Just I have this Contaso where I have general and demo channels, and in Teams webinar I have a general. Okay, so here if I'm just putting something. Okay, webinar series. Okay, before that, okay, 1 minute. Yeah, so welcome all for Teams webinar series. So here you can see an option called post in multiple channels. So when you do this, you can select the channels where you want to post it. Okay, so I just want to post in all the places. Okay, so this one already it is here. This is the source. Okay, I'll just now update it. Okay, so now this particular announcement or message will be posted for all these channels basically. Okay, I'll just post this one. Okay, once it has been posted, you like in case like if I want to edit something, okay, and I can do that particular thing also. I'll just go here, edit it. Okay, in case if I want to remove some channels, yes, definitely I can remove that. Okay, I'll just remove it here. Updated content. I'm just adding something over here. And I have an option to save it. Okay, so if I go here, see this particular demo, previously I have posted to this demo also, but now when I was editing it, I have deleted this particular channel. So automatically that content doesn't appear here. Okay, and if you see, sorry, in general I have removed it. In demo, if you see, whatever the updated content has been appearing over here. So in case if you are posting a message to multiple channels and you have an option to edit the content also, so that it will be updated or reflected in all the other channels. Okay, even you can do it from going to any other channel also. It's not like you need to go to the source and do it. You can do it from anywhere. Okay, so this is one of the new feature that is available now. And Yammer app for Microsoft Teams. So basically, this app is called recently Microsoft has announced a app called Communities app, and that is basically a complete Yammer. Basically, it's a Yammer thing. Okay, bringing the Yammer feature into Microsoft Teams. Okay, so I'll just quickly go here and add that one. So you can see here communities. Basically, you're bringing the Yammer functionality into Microsoft Teams. This is a app has been introduced recently. Okay, so I'll just add this one. So you can see all the conversations and everything from the Teams itself. Okay, that's loading actually. So the app name is called the Communities app. Okay. So yeah, it shows you all the messages, conversations, what are the things available over your groups available. So you can see everything from here itself, from Microsoft Teams itself. Okay, it's taking some time to load it. So I'll just go to the next one. Okay, coming to the mobile app, yes, again, like we have a mobile app. I'll just to give you a quick overview or a demo on the mobile app. I'm using Android phone. So what I will do is I have joined the meeting in that also. Okay, I'll just quickly share my screen in that and show you all what are the features available in the Android app. I'm just sharing my mobile phone. I hope you're able to see my phone, right? Vignesh, are you
Not
able to?
yet. Yeah, yeah, we are able to see now. Yeah, yeah, yes.
So if you see, if you see here, like you have these options, okay, activity in the bottom, you can see activity, chat, calendar, and files. Okay, so I'll just quickly go through each and every tab. Okay, chat, obviously you can start a chat from here, or you can see all the previous chats, whatever you have done, and you can even have a group chats and everything from here. Okay, so you have an option to start a new chat also from here. Okay, so you can see all the people showing over here, and then I'll go back. And calendar also, you can see your calendar. You can create any meetings from here, and you can join the meetings directly. I'll just to quickly show you. So if you want to schedule a new event, so this is the screen how it looks. And when I click on this one, so the clock and everything, this is how it looks. AM, PM, you can select it. Okay, so all those things. Okay, so this is how you can schedule a meeting also. Just discard this particular option. And obviously files also, you have a tab for the files where you can see all the files that has been shared or during the group chat or everything, group chat or one-to-one chat and all those things. And if you see here, you can add further more apps also. So you can see your camera organization, teams, calls, everything will not be available. Like whatever you're seeing in the desktop or in the web client, everything will not be available in the mobile. Still, they are keep on adding the features to it. But still, as of now, you can see these things. Okay, if I can go to the teams also, so I can see all the teams which I am part of. Okay, and if I go to any specific team, again, like you will not be able to see all the tabs. Okay, only certain tabs are allowed. Okay, so that you will be seeing it in the mobile. Okay, and going back, okay, so you can see all these things. So you can see the status, I am presenting it, and obviously set status message, whichever you see in the desktop client, you have it. Okay, notifications and all those things. Quickly go to the settings. Okay, so I can even change my theme over here. Okay, so if you see, I've changed the specific theme and remaining settings, whatever the settings like notifications, profile, messaging, shifts, and all those things are options are available. So I'm sharing directly from my mobile only. So those sharing options and other things are available over here. Okay.
And hey, Vijay, do you want to show that future where we can change the order of the apps? That's
Yeah,
one of my
sure.
favorite one. Yeah.
Okay, so when if you see here, if once I expand it, like yeah, just expand it here. So you have an option here, something called reorder. Okay, so in case if I want to change it, okay, I can do it here. Okay, so for example, I want to bring Teams. I'll just drag and put it over here. Okay, I don't want files. Okay, so now I have changed it. Okay, I've changed the order and just click on save. So you can see it here. The teams have been appearing over here. So you can reorder it based on your need. You can reorder these things, navigation thing. Okay. So meeting also, most of the options like turn on live captions, share. So these are the options also available. We will not see all the options which are seeing in the desktop client, obviously, but they are Microsoft is keep on adding the features to both Android as well as iOS. But as of now, we have all these options available. Okay, I'll just stop sharing my screen from mobile. I'll share my desktop now. Okay, so that's what like we have just gone through the complete Android thing, all the video calls, everything, whatever we are doing through the desktop. Most of the features are available in the mobile clients also. So I think like these are the new features. Like we have picked it up like only like last 2 months, which are last 2 or 3 months, whatever the new features have come, and we quickly showed you all the demos for that one. So next one is like what's new for administrators. So Vignesh, like yeah.
Sure. I'll take it over. And folks, I saw a lot of interesting questions coming up over the chat. So Vijay, if you can just start looking into that. And as I said, folks, so towards the end, we will start picking them up because there were really interesting questions which came in. But then one question which I really wanted to answer is, so there was a question about how am I getting the subtitles on the PowerPoint? So this is basically under your slideshow, you'll see this option which says subtitles, right? So, and you also have translation, meaning if you're talking in English, it will translate to, like if you want to translate to Tamil, Telugu, Arabic, Hindi, French, Spanish, whatever, it could do it. It is the power of AI and ML which is running inside. It may not be that accurate when you're doing the translation, but it is always more or less similar. You might, if you're interested, please feel free to try that. That's a great future, to play around with. All right, so now let's move on to what's new for administrators, right? Because admins are the folks who are sort of the ones who keep their hands on top of this product called as Teams, and they are the ones who decide, what feature needs to be turned on, right, and what feature needs to be turned off, and how do I control things? Are my users allowed to enjoy everything in Teams, or should I have a tap on certain things, right? So basically, you are the folks who control things. So let's try to understand what's new for administrators. So let's begin with trying to understand, hey, how do I even manage Teams effectively? This question has come up a lot from my customers. So most of the enterprise customers whom I talk to, so they open the Teams admin center, and they think that, okay, maybe this is the only place where I would go to control things, right? I mean, of course, yes. But then there is other areas also where you need to look into to control your Teams effectively, right? To begin with, of course, your Teams admin center is one single place, and if you take a look at the small description which is given down there, for controlling stuff such as your communication and team specific features such as your meetings, calling, chatting, apps, network, policies, and there is a lot it has there, right? You might have to spend some time, or you would go to the Teams admin center to control those things, right? And if you're more of interested about security and compliance, right, so audit logs, retention policies, e-discovery, and there is a lot in the world of security and compliance. For that, you might have to flip the switch and go to the security and compliance center admin center. And then if you're basically concerned with guest access, if you're basically concerned about, hey, how do I control the identity side of things, right? Who are the guest users, right? And how long, so what kind of accounts they have, so things of all that sort. And if you want to pull up some logs about how things are being accessed, audit logs or things of all that sort, then you need to be spending quite some time in the Azure AD admin center, right? So what I'm trying to tell is, for you to effectively manage Teams, you need to be sure that you're playing around with these three admin centers, so that you know where to go to get the right information. All right, so let's move on. So the first new thing is, I mean, this is not new. These are some new documentations that we have introduced. So managing Teams onboarding. So let me just quickly pull up those links and show it to you, because this is something which I really wanted to show to you folks. Right now, let me bring that up. So before you even get started with Teams, the core or the prime important factor is whether your environment is really capable enough to support Teams, right? When I say an environment, it could be to do something with your network. Now, network is really, really important when you're running a SaaS world, SaaS thing, right? It could be something to do with licenses. So that is a lot. So this is that one single link which speaks about, hey, what are the network things that you need to consider about? What are the IPs that you need to whitelist, right? And if you're having a proxy, right, how do I control? So what are the things which I need to whitelist there, right? And if I'm doing a meeting or calling, so what kind of bandwidth I'm talking about? Things such as this. So peer-to-peer audio calling, so this is what we recommend from Microsoft, right? And if you're doing screen sharing, if you're doing a live event, if you're doing audio with screen sharing, if you're keeping your video on and doing screen sharing, and there is a lot. And until and unless you have this bandwidth, you can't expect an optimal performance, right? So this is that one single place where you would go to understand what are the networking mandate that you need to have to run Teams successfully, right? And the next thing which we wanted to show you is, I think, the same thing. So prepare your organization, and it is basically, the next thing is about the installing the desktop, web, and mobile clients, right? So what you need to understand is, now with the Office 365 Pro Plus, I'm sorry, the product has been rebranded as Microsoft 365 Apps for Enterprise. So now we are rolling out the Teams client along with the Office suite itself, right? So if you're getting when you're getting Word, PowerPoint, Excel, you would also see the Teams client also there, and it gets updated on a semi-annual channel. right? So you don't really need to, I mean, there were scenarios where in few months back you need the SCCM team has to plan it and deploy it, right? And so teams as an MSI, it was quite heavy, and planning them was quite hectic. But then now we are rolling out the client along with the Office software itself, so that you don't need to worry about that anymore. So a small amount of considerations like this from a network standpoint, from a licensing standpoint. So these are all the considerations that you need to be mindful of, because Teams is, it is a heavy workload in the case of Office 365, and it requires a proper planning before you even roll it out. So that's where we are coming from. And then assign the right admin roles. I believe by far Teams is the only product which has 4 different admin roles, right? So because if you look at it, that product is, I mean, Teams is one product which stitches together various Office 365 services, right? It has chats, it has meetings, it has SharePoint, it has Exchange, it has Azure AD, it has Office 365 groups, it has voice calling, so many things put together under one single console, right? So in order to make sure that things are being managed effectively, you need to make sure that you're giving the right admin role to the right person. So in that aspect, we have 4 admin roles so that you could evaluate them and assign the right admin role to the right person. And the next thing is we have something called as advisor for teams. So this is something which you would find in your admin center. This is still in preview. Now, just imagine a scenario wherein you as an organization, you have planned out to roll out Teams, okay? Maybe you're an organization who has been using SharePoint for quite some time. Exchange is doing good. You're using Exchange, you're using the other products. And then you decided that, all right, it's about time that I will say that no to Skype, and I'll go ahead and roll out Teams. Now, this is that one single place in your admin center, and Vijay is going to do a demo and help you understand how this works. This is basically go and it'll look into your environment and it'll give some suggestions, and it'll also spin up a team and it'll have some plans on it saying that, hey, this is the task that you need to perform, right? And you can assign members to that plan. There is a lot it does. It is a more of a project management as well as a tool which studies your environment and suggests the task. It is really a nice to have thing when you're planning to roll out your team. So maybe when you're seeing the demo, it might make a lot more sense to you. So we have this something called as advisor for teams. Then we have something called as policy packages, right? And so folks who have been working as admins, I believe you might have got your hands dirty with all the policies that we have rolled out for teams. We have policies for meetings, we have policies for apps, we have policies for messaging, then we have policies for live events, right? Now, I mean, these are different areas where you would go to manage all these policies, right? And you can start assigning these policies to people based upon their the work culture, or based upon which business unit they are coming from, right? Maybe from IT you can enjoy a policy which may not really be mandatory for a person who's coming from finance or HR. In that case, you need to decide upon which policy goes to which person. But what if all these policies can be put together under one single package, right? Now, say for instance, if you're working for a customer who is basically into the education industry, I'm just giving a scenario, right? And there all you have is faculty and students, right? Now for students, of course, you need to make sure that you're taking off certain things because they are kids, and kids are quite prone to do small mistakes, or they want to play around with softwares, right? And what if you want to control things to them? Rather than you playing around with the policies, what if all the policies can be put together and say, hey, if this is for education, these are the set of policies, please go ahead and just apply this package so that things are taken care of. Or if you are coming from a healthcare customer, right? Hey, these are the set of policies that we have recommended, and this is not something which Microsoft recommends. This is all learning from various customers, right? And because as a part of my role, I talk to customers such as Fortis or Apollo or Columbia Asia, right? And they have a unique set of needs which they come up with. And if you look at it, this is the same scenario across the globe, right? And what if all these policies can be put under one single console so that the admins can assign it? So we have something called as policy packages. And as of today, I don't think you can assign a policy package to a group, but then we are coming up with that so that you can assign a policy package to a security group using PowerShell. Yeah. And then we have, this is something which has, which everybody was badly looking for. Now you get to manage your app catalog in the Teams admin center, right? So you as an admin can manage all the apps so that you know which app you want to turn off, which app you want to turn on, if there is a small app which your organization has built and if you want to upload it. And there is a lot that you could do. The complete application lifecycle management of your app can be done from the Teams Admin Center, and we'll be seeing a demo of that as well. Then we have, this is something which went live just a couple of weeks back. We have something called as self-help diagnostics for Microsoft Teams administrators, right? Now, this is nothing but it is basically a utility. So whenever you're, when there is a problem with your tenant, right, and you do some basic debugging to understand that yes, this is a genuine problem and everybody is facing this issue, right? Then you would go and raise a support ticket from the Office 365 admin center, right? So what if there can be an utility wherein the moment you put in your problem, it runs the tool and it does the diagnostics and it tells that, hey, I've looked into your environment. Have you done so and so steps? Maybe this is something which you need to take a look at, right? So that kind of a utility is what we are talking about. So when you're seeing the demo, it'll make a lot more sense to you. And then we also have the org-wide team. So the automatic creation of an org-wide team. And what you need to be really, really mindful of is an org-wide team is only possible for a tenant which has less than 5,000 users, right? We are not talking about companies such as Cognizant or TCS or or all those big guys who have lakhs and lakhs of employees, right? If you are an organization within 5,000, yes, you would be seeing an org-wide team by default. You will be part of the org-wide team. As of now, the count is 5,000, and in the near future, we have plans to increase it to 10,000. And this somewhat relates to the number of members which you can have inside a team, right? But then please be mindful that we have something called as an org-wide team. So if you're a company which has like 3,000 employees or 4,000 employees, then by default, it automatically picks up the users from your Azure AD. All the global administrators will be made as owners and remaining everyone gets to be a member, and you'll start being a part of the org-wide team, so that whenever a communication is pushed on the org-wide team, so every person gets to see that announcement. And then this is a news which just went live few days back. So the Office 365 groups will be called as Microsoft 365 groups. And it is just not this. If at all you've been paying attention, we have renamed a lot of our products from Office 365 to Microsoft 365, right? A lot of our Office 365 SKUs, be it Business Premium or Business Standard, or things of all that sort, we have renamed it to Microsoft 365. And as I was talking, Office Pro Plus gets renamed to Microsoft 365 Apps for Enterprise, and there is a lot of such changes which is happening. So in the same way, even Office 365 groups will be called as Microsoft 365 groups now onwards. And here is my favorite. So now it is possible to do a federation between Teams and Skype. When I say Skype, it is not your Skype for Business Online. We are talking about the Skype consumer version. So from Teams, I can have a chat with someone who's on the personal Skype, and he can respond to the chat and I will see it on Teams. Now, this is the small button. By now, everybody can see this in your tenant. Just turn it on, and you might probably have to give it just like some 24 hours or something so that this change gets reflected across the tenant. And then when you're trying to have a one-to-one chat or you're trying to have a VoIP call, of course you could do that with a person who's coming from Skype. And this is still in preview, by the way. And with that being said, it's time for demo. So Vijay, over to you for the demo. Hey Vijay, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was on mute. Are you able to
Sure,
hear
good.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just look into this one, advisor for teams, which is in the preview one. Okay, so whenever like any organization want to roll out the teams, then it would be a better way to come here where the lot of options are provided. Okay, so I came to the, like I am in Teams admin center. Okay, and when you go to planning, you will see a Teams advisor. Okay, so I'll just go here. So whenever we need to roll out the teams, right, there are different workloads which we want to roll out. So basically what Microsoft recommend us like first to go with chats, teams and chat teams, channels and apps. and then the other one is meeting and conferencing. Okay, so if you see here, it will automatically do the assessment of your environment. So I'll just quickly show you here this one. So you can see here, it will just assess all these things, Teams licenses, all the licenses part, okay, network, vanity domain, and group aspiration. So all these things automatically, this will be assessed. Okay, and then click on view also. So these are the uh, task basically you need to do while you're doing the rollout basically. Okay, so what I will do is consider that I'm going to just roll out this particular workload, chat, teams, channels, and apps. Okay, so in order to do that, what I can do is I'll just select this particular thing, workload, and click on next. Okay, and I can add the team members over here. I'll just add Vignesh. Okay, I've added it and apply it over here. And then when I click on create, just if you see, these are the activities that will be happening over here. So it will be creating a group and add members. Okay, something went wrong. Okay. So like basically what it does is it creates a team, Microsoft team. Okay. And in that team, it will create the channels also, and it will have a planner. It will have all the tasks that needs to be done during the rollout basically. Okay. I'm not sure why this is happening. Okay. Just click on try again once again. Creating channels and everything, creating a planner plan and pre-populated user survey forms. So when you're rolling out, right? So what are the things needs to be done? Okay, all the tasks will be created in the planner, and like almost close to 15 tasks basically. So being in the project team, while you're rolling out, you can just complete task one by one so that you can completely roll out it. Okay, so that is the purpose of this advisor for teams basically. Okay, it takes some time to create the team. Okay, so I'm not going to do that now, but these are the things that will be done. Okay, after a few minutes, once it has been done, we can come here and see how the teams looks and what are the tasks that has been created. Okay, I think it's got created also. 1 minute. Yeah. So a team has been created called deployment team. Okay, and you can see the general tab and chats, teams, channels, and apps tab. So if you go to the planner over here, okay, so you can see this one phase by phase. These are the things that uh, we need to do as part of this rollout. Basically, set up this planner, get ready, roll out to early adopters, org-wide rollout. So they have created all these tasks. So once you have completed that, you can just make it on, keep on complete. Like you can uh, com just complete this task. Okay, and even the forms. When you go to the forms, even the survey forms also will be available basically. So teams user satisfaction survey kind of thing. Once a teams has been rolled out, you need to get the feedback from the users, right? So they created the form also. So all this setup is being done with the help of this advisor for teams. Okay, so it will be really helpful when you're rolling out the teams. It's better to create these teams and follow the steps. So next one is policy packages. So I'll just quickly go to the policy packages. Again, if you see here, I am in the Teams admin center, and in the left navigation, you can see the policy packages. Okay, I'll just click on it. Okay, these are the default packages which are available now. Okay, which is basically it's a collection of predefined policies and settings. I'll click on one of the things. I've already clicked on this education, higher education student. Okay, so these are the policies that are available: messaging policy, meeting policy, app setup, calling policy, live events policy. And when I get into any of these things, you can see all the configurations for this particular policy has been set up already. Okay, we no need to do anything. Okay, so now how we can assign this particular policy package to a user? Consider that it has to be added to a education, like a higher education student. Okay, so what we can do is we can go to the users. Okay, currently one more thing is before you are assigning a policy package to a user, you will not be able to edit any of the policies basically. Okay, it was you will not be able to do anything. But once you assign a policy package to a user, then you will be able to do the changes. So I'll quickly go here, just go to this test user. Okay, click on the test user. Okay, I'll just go to this policies tab and edit it. And I'll add this particular policy, higher education student. So what I'm doing is I'm assigning this particular policy package to this user. Okay. Once this policy package has been assigned to this user, then you can edit the policies also in case based on the requirement. If you want to do some changes, you can definitely do it. Okay. So once it has been added, then we can do the changes. Okay, so just consider that it has been added. Then again, you can go to the policy package. And if you want to update any of the policies, you can just click here and you will see an option to turn it on or off. Whatever you want to do the changes, you can do the changes and save it. Okay, since in the backend it's still adding it, we are not able to do any changes over here. Okay, so manage your app catalog in the Teams admin center. So I'll just quickly go to the Teams admin center and Teams apps. So under Teams app, you can see something called Manage Apps. So this is like app catalog available in Teams Admin Center. Okay. So here you can see all the apps that has been available in Microsoft Teams. So in case if I want to allow something or if I want to block something, I can definitely do it over here. So I just want to block this particular app, ADP Virtual Assistant. So I can just select this and you have an option to block it. And once if something is already blocked, you have an option to allow it also. Okay, and also like you have an option to upload a new app. Previously when you want to upload any app, then you go to the Teams and you will be doing uploading that. So now you have an app catalog where you can manage the complete things, blocking it, allowing it, and even upload a new app. So basically whenever you want to upload any new app, you have that it should be a zip file which will contain the manifest and then the logos and everything. Generally we use either app studio or something like a manually also you can create the manifest. Okay, so just you need to click upload and you need to select the file and you need to do it. Okay, I think there is some issues with the Teams admin center because like I already have the zip file, but I'm still getting some error like this, we cannot upload the app, please try again. Okay, but this is how generally you upload any custom apps. So if you have developed any custom apps and you want to upload it, then you come to the admins like app catalog and you can do that. Okay, and remaining things are same like permission policies and all. We are not going to get into it, but like in case like if you want to do any app related settings, then you have these two things: permission policies and setup policies. Okay, and even the custom. Okay, I have created one SharePoint framework and as a Teams tab. So that should be available here. So you can see here. So this is my custom app which I have uploaded it over here. Okay. So yeah, so you have a dedicated app catalog now to manage all the Teams apps. Self-help diagnostic available. So I'll just quickly go to the admin center. Show all. You need to go to support, new service request. Okay, I'll just type the same thing. Generally, it gives you some recommended articles also. Okay, so if you see here, recommended articles will be provided. And also you can, what you can do is you can troubleshoot it also, like just running some tool job behind the screen. Okay, what I will do is I'll just select my SharePoint online root URL or run the test. Okay, so the test will be running against my environment if there is any issues in the infrastructure platform level. Okay, so we'll just keep like leave it like this, but you will see something like we'll see after some time what are the results. If there is any issues, it will generate the report and share it with us. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything as of now, but this is how you can run some diagnostics test. Okay, and automatic creation of an org-wide team. So this option also available in our tenant because this is a demo tenant. Okay, so when I go to join or create a team, I'll create a team, build a team from scratch. Okay, so here you see an option called org-wide because in this particular tenant we have less number of users, less than 5,000 users. So that's why it is showing. So in case if it is more than 5,000, you will not find this option. Okay. And once you create a org, all the users within that particular tenant, less than 5,000 users, will be added automatically to this particular team. Okay. Even the unlicensed users also. Okay. And yeah, so this one, there is nothing. It's a just pretty much name change. And Teams and Skype consumer connect together again. Like once you enable this option, obviously you can send a message from Skype to Teams. But unfortunately, in my thing, it is I was not able to do that. Okay, but that's how. Once you enable this after 24 hours, then what you can do is from your personal Skype, you can chat something, and you will be receiving it in the Teams and the vice versa also. Okay. So coming to the next topic, which is basically what's new for developers. Okay, so I will just have a few slides for that. What are the new APIs available, especially Graph API is available for this, and with respect to SharePoint framework also, what are the new things that is available? So we'll discuss quickly on these three things. Okay, on this thing. So first one is like Microsoft Graph Presence APIs, and this is not very latest, but at least in December 2019, I think they have released this particular thing. So this API, this Graph API is in beta only. So what it exactly does it? Okay, so I'll quickly show you a demo. We can get the user presence basically. Okay, so I've created a SPFX solution and put it in SharePoint. So whatever the team's presence, basically that can be shown over here. So for example, I've just queried the users from a particular Office 365 group, Microsoft 365 group, and then those users have been displayed here, and you can see the status presence. Okay, whether they are inactive, offline, or online, and everything. Okay. So for this, this is the API available. So you can see it here. You can get the presence information on behalf of the signed in user and also for the multiple users. So this is the HTTP request that we need to send it. Me presence, or like you can pass the IDs also, something like this. Okay. So just to quickly show you where I have used it. So there is already a solution available in the SPFX thing. Okay, so if you see here, to in order to get the user presence, I'm using this Graph API. I'll be passing all the user IDs and it will be retrieving the results. And this is how it looks basically. Okay. So next one is a SharePoint framework also. So most of you who are working in SharePoint and teams, like you will be knowing that using SharePoint framework, you can create solutions for teams also. Okay. So previously, you had an option to create tabs. Basically, in order to create any customized tabs, you can use SPFX and you can build a solution for that. Right. Now, recently, and as part of in Jan 2020, as part of SharePoint 1.10 version, they have released the additional thing where you can create a solution for Teams personal app. Okay, so personal app in the sense tab, you all will be aware, like when you go to any teams, you can keep on adding the tabs. Okay, so previously this option was available, where you can build a custom solution using SPFX. Now if you see personal app, so you have three dots over here, so you can see all the apps that you can add it. These are the personal apps basically. Okay, so I have already added this SPFX Teams app. Okay, so like if you're aware like how to create a SPFX solution, generally like you run a Yeoman generator to create the solution. Okay, once the solution has been created, this is how it looks, right? Okay, so okay, this is how it looks. I have not done any changes over here. Okay, so using Yeoman generator, I've just created a solution alone. Okay, so if you go to the manifest.json file, so here you have an option basically supported host. This is the manifest file where you need to mention where this particular solution has to be hosted. Generally, we use SharePoint as a SharePoint web part. Okay, and there are other options also available. Okay, so you can make it as a SharePoint web part or SharePoint full page. Teams tab was available from previous versions, and now you have something called Teams Personal App. Okay, so when you do that, okay, so you can add that app in your Microsoft Teams as a personal app. Okay, and all the things like you packaging, bundling, and everything is same using the gulp task. You will be doing it. Okay, and then you will be uploading this to the app catalog. Okay, SharePoint app catalog. Okay, so here if you see, okay, so generally you will be coming to the team like SharePoint app catalog, upload the solution. Okay, once you have uploaded the solution, right, you have an option to sync to Teams basically. Once you click on it, what it will happen is it generates a manifest file, okay, whatever the file it is required in the right format, and upload it to Teams automatically. Okay, so after some time, okay, it takes some time generally, okay, it takes few minutes. Once it is done, then you can go to the Teams app management and you can see that app over here. Okay, or you can manually also create a manifest file, okay, and you can upload it. But generally this is a pretty much straightforward thing. You just click on that button for sync for Teams, and then automatically it will be synced to Microsoft Teams also. Once it has been added, then you can just come here, you will be going to this one, more apps, and you can go to build for Contoso, and you can see that option available. So you can just add it over here, and it will be basically you can pin it also. Okay, so whatever the solution, customized solution that you have built, it will be appearing over here. And also you have the Teams context when you're building the solution. Okay, so you can use this one, this dot context.sdks. So where you can get all the Teams related context, okay, in order to build your customized solution. Okay. And the next one is communication, cloud communication APIs, and this is also pretty much like it was available for a long time, and so this is also a graph API. So basically, when you are building any apps or services, when you want to interact with the users, okay, you can make use of communication related features. Communication related features in the sense calling, meetings, and all those things. So the APIs are available for that also, calls and online meetings. Okay, so these are the things: calling, meetings, and what kind of permission is required. Okay. So quickly, like I don't have any demo kind of thing, but quickly the scenarios, right? Okay. Basically, when you want to, when you're building the bot solutions, okay. So these are some scenarios over here. Okay. The user is calling to the bot, and then so all these messages, basically the bot will be answering the call. So for that, all those things, especially for calls and online meetings, the Graph APIs are being available now. Okay, that is what called cloud communication APIs. Okay, so these are certain scenarios where you can use it to build a bot. Cloud communication APIs to build a bot when you're answering a call, place a prompt to inform and prompt a customer for the selection. So like that, like there are various scenarios where you can make use of this cloud communication APIs. Okay. Setting up the online meetings. If you want the set up an online meeting, then you have it. Okay, retrieving the details of an online meeting. Okay, and the bot or the user joining an online meeting. So all these options are available over here as a graph APIs. So yeah, next is security and compliance. So Vignesh,
Sure, Jack. Yeah. Yeah. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. You need to mute yourself. Sorry about this. All right. Now the next piece which we want to talk about is what's new for security and compliance. So before we even get started, folks, this is a webinar which we have planned in detail at a later point in time, because there is so much that we need to talk about under this topic. So in the interest of time, we may not be able to cover everything, but just to cover whatever is new, we'll be spending some time here. But of course, myself and Vijay, we are going to come back and we are going to do a deep dive on all the security and compliance features in Teams, and also in Office 365 for that matter. Let's start a look into, this is just a one single slide which I have for security and compliance. And we have sort of split it into like 5 different pillars, right? So under information protection, we have DLP and sensitivity labels. Now, of course, DLP, if you take a look at all these features, right, most of them were available for Exchange and SharePoint Online for quite some time. And now over the time frame of Ignite is when this was almost extended to your teams also, right? But then I'd recommend you to go ahead and read in detail about this feature and understand the licensing for all these things, right? Because your DLP in SharePoint or Exchange is pretty much something which you would get along with the product itself, but in Teams that's not the case, right? So you need to have the right SKU so that you get to enjoy DLP. So please spend some trying to understand the SKUs for them. And then we have retention policies. This is something which is just been around. This was there for SharePoint and Exchange. Now we have that in Teams also. Uh, and one thing which I really want to talk about in retention policies is, folks, I mean, if at all you've been working with this, and this is a conversation which I have with most of my customers, specifically the pharma customers or healthcare customers, right? Because they have a mandate that some of their conversations or some of the documents or some of their chats have to become disappeared over a period of time, right? And if you take a look at retention policy itself, uh, what people normally think is, hey, if today I'm turning on my retention policy, the clock starts on now onwards. See, that is not how it happens, right? A retention policy for Teams, at least it is for 7 years. All right. And if you're even playing around with retention policy while Vijay is doing the demo, he'll be showing that screen which I'm talking about. That'll be two options. It says here, right from the time this content was created, right from the time this content was modified, right? So what I'm trying to tell is, if today you're turning on the retention policy, and if that content existed even 5 years before, then within 2 years it will get deleted if your retention policy was to delete it. So don't think that I turned it on today, so only after 7 years that content will get deleted. The clock always starts right from the day or the time where the content was created or modified. Now, just because you turned on retention today, it doesn't mean that the clock ticks from now onwards, right? And this has been a wrongly understood concept, which is why I wanted to talk about that in detail. I'll be talking about information barriers and supervision. Then, of course, you have the e-discovery and audit log, right? So e-discovery, as I said, it was there for OneDrive, SharePoint, and Exchange. Now you have e-discovery for private chats, and you also have it for threaded chat conversations also. And in e-discovery, we also support edit. Now, what I mean by that is, if I sent some sort of wrong language, some abusive language in a chat, and then I went ahead and I edited it and I turned it in your e-discovery, you can even see what was the message which was sent before editing and what was the message which was there after editing. You can also get into that level of e-discovery. And I'd urge to spend some time trying to understand what we support in e-discovery. Most of the times some customers ask, hey, would things such as liking a chat or liking a comment or putting a smiley, is that also part of your e-discovery? Is that something also which which you can pull up on the back end? So these kind of conversations come up. So please spend some time and try to understand that. But nevertheless, we are planning to do a detailed webinar on this, wherein we really want to double click into all these pillars and help you understand things in a much more detailed and elaborative manner. Okay, so in the interest of time, let me talk about information barriers and supervision. Right now, this is something which you really need to sit and configure. But then, and I'm pretty sure most of you might have been looking for something like this. Right now, just to talk about your information barrier, what that really means. Right. Yeah. Now take a look at this image, right? And just to help you understand in layman words. Now, if there is a need in your organization wherein people from one business group shouldn't be talking to people in a different business group, I mean, you may really ask, what is that kind of a weird request? Who is even having that, right? I mean, that could be maybe if you're talking about an investment bank, or maybe if you're talking about some kind of pharma or some kind of industries which really deal with crucial customer information. And maybe the nature of their business demands them that a particular business unit, a particular set of people shouldn't be talking to a particular set of people, right? They shouldn't be having chats. They shouldn't be having video calling or audio calling. They shouldn't be able to invite them for a meeting. And so whatever kind of collaboration or communication that you can think about should not be possible. And if you're looking for something of that sort, then information barrier is one thing which you need to focus on. Now, this was introduced very recently. I think somewhere around Ignite timeframe is when we introduced, and it has a good amount of configuration for you to put in, right? You need to make sure that the users are put into particular groups. Now, based upon their user attributes, you would split them, and you would classify them. And until Ignite, the question was, what if I'm creating a team? Of course, you're telling that they cannot be a part of a team. But when I'm creating a team, I would get a SharePoint site on the backend. So will those be people be able to see the SharePoint site on the backend? Now, until Ignite, that behavior was a bit sluggish. But now, even the SharePoint site which gets created on the backend is something which the opponent team won't be able to access, right? So if you have a need of this, so information barrier is the right way for you to go ahead. So and as I said, we are planning a detailed session on this, so we are not really going to do a detailed deep dive demo here on this session. Of course, we want to show you a demo on retention policies, DLP, sensitivity levels, and other side of things. But things of this sort is something which we need to spend a good amount of time and help you understand how this works from the ground. So we are going to do it at a later point in time. And one more thing which I wanted to talk about is something called as the supervision policies, right? Now, let me tell you upfront. Now, this future called as supervision, we are gonna turn it off. So over a period of time, it is not going to be supervision. We are planning to, take it to communication compliance. Now, if at all you take a look at this, we have something called as communication compliance. Now, once again, to help you understand in layman terms what this even means, right? Now, what if you're on a chat and you're using abusive languages on a one-to-one chat, right? Or what if your organization wants to monitor the kind of language which is being used in a chat, and they want to raise a red flag when something abusive is being used, right? I am talking about scenarios like this. Now, say for instance, I'm trying to tell this user that she is an idiot, and she's really doing a stupid work, and I'm just trying to abuse her for some kind of nonsense work which she has done, right? Of course, you're not allowed to use languages like that in a working environment, right? So if at all you want to have hold on such things, and if at all you want to monitor offensive languages, then if you take a look at this sensitive info, monitor regulatory compliance, so things of all this sort can be monitored, and it will raise an alert whenever things of that sort are coming up, right? So you have that, and you have that in teams also, right? And then there were questions about retention policies. For a long time there was asked about, hey, can I do a one day retention policy? Now, one of my customers who was a well-known fintech company, so their requirement was, I just need a one-day retention policy, meaning every day the chat should get wiped off. I don't want to have my chat threads more than one day. It should be getting wiped off, right? So we also have something called as a one day retention policy for chats also. Just that you need to be mindful that it will take a good amount of time for all those chats to vanish. Even though you're applying a one day retention policy, It might take more than 2 days or something for all the chat threads to be wiped off. But please be mindful that retention as a product, retention policies as a product is heavily dependent on Exchange Online. So you need to make sure that the customer also, the person whomever is has to be bound by retention policies, they should be having an Exchange Online mailbox. Only then things will work, because that entire workload called as retention is heavily dependent on Exchange. Right? And even for you to run an e-discovery against Teams chat and things like that, Exchange is mandatory. Now, the reason why I'm trying to talk about Exchange here is most of my customers, I've seen scenarios wherein customers are in G Shoot, right? And they say that, hey, I have G Shoot. I can use Teams. I love the product. I can take it. But then, whenever I want to use my G Shoot mailbox, right? I don't want Exchange Online mailbox. I want to turn it off, but still they also want retention to work, right? So this is where things get really hard, right? Because for things to work, there is also a dependency on the back end which you need to understand. And there will be some customers wherein they would say that, hey, I would like to bring in my G Shoot IDP and I would like to do a SAML based SSO to Office 365, right? And it could be the other way around also. In scenarios like this, you need to be mindful that you're having pieces such as your Exchange, SharePoint, everything should be running. Don't ever make your customers or your business users have the knowledge, come up with the thought that Teams is a standalone product, right? Teams is not at all a standalone product. If you look at it, it is a product which stitches together Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and a lot of other pieces, right? And for things to work perfectly fine, all these things should be turned on. Only then you're going to get the best out of Teams, right? So that is one thing which I want to stress upon. And with that being said, so Vijay, over to you so that you can show the demo of all the products features.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So like as Vignesh was mentioning, the retention policies, even for our organization, the same scenario. We don't want to keep the chat more than a day because they don't want to have any sort of persistent chat. Okay. Like how the Skype works. Like generally you don't want to store anything in the database. Okay. So what we can do is like you can set the retention policy. Okay. So I came to like a security and compliance admin center, protection.office.com, and under information governance, you can see the retention. Okay, I have already created it. Okay, so Teams, or I can create a new one also, and then give it a description. Next. So here, this is what you will be doing it, right? So I want to retain it for how long, or just delete contents that is older than 1 day or month or years. Okay, so days and months and years are provided, and the delete the content based on two things: when it was created or when it was last modified. Okay, so I'll just put it on when it was created, and I'll just click on next. And you have an option to select the locations. Basically, locations means where this retention policy has to be set. Okay, so in the Exchange or in the SharePoint sites or OneDrive accounts, I'll just turn off all these things. Okay, I just want to apply for only for the Teams chats and conversations. Okay, so I'll just turn off here. So here you have an option: Teams channel messages, yes, and Teams chat, yes. Okay, and then I can click on next. So it will be applied only for the Teams chats and conversations. Okay, so when the content that have been created, it will be deleted after 1 day. And again, as Vignesh mentioned, there are a lot of dependency. It will take up to 3 to 7 days in the backend to delete it completely. Okay, and also we have also seen that if you don't log off and log in the Teams desktop client, still it was appearing actually. So you need to once we log off and log in, then the chats were gone, which were like created 1 day before. Okay, so this is one thing, a retention policy, and data loss prevention also. Like I'll just to go and create a policy over here. Already, I think I have created. So in case if you want to restrict, okay, whenever you type something like I don't want to allow the credit card numbers or social security numbers or something like a confidential things to be posted in the team's channels, then I can create these kind of policies over here. Okay, so I think just create a policy. So I'll just click on UK financial thing. Okay, so basically it protects this information, credit card number, EU debit card number, or shift code. Okay, so for each country, based on their things, you can set it up, or you can even create a your own policy and just add those things. Okay, so just here again, here you will be selecting the locations. Like I can select Teams, chats, and okay, I'll just remove this all these things. So here you also have Teams chat and channel messages. So it applies, this policy applies only for this particular thing. Okay. And click on next. Yeah. Find content that contains these things. What exactly has to be done? Detect whether this content is shared with people outside my organization or only with people inside my organization. Okay. And what it has to be like a send them like a kind of a policy tips, like you need to restrict that. So whatever you want to, or if you want to send any reports and all those things, or customize a tip and email, so you can do all these things. And again, it also takes like a little bit of time to get reflected. Okay, at least 24 hours, I think. Okay, once you create this policy and when you try to in any of the chat, you try to put the credit card number or share the credit card number, then you will get message telling that you are not supposed to do that. Okay, so that's how you can create the policies for this Teams chats and channel messages. And also, like you have sensitivity labels, but again, that sensitivity labels is in preview mode. Okay, so I'll just quickly go here. So already, so sensitivity label in the sense like based on the like you can create. For example, I have created something called strictly confidential. Okay, so again, one more thing is in order to apply the sensitivity label for Microsoft 365 groups or specifically teams and all those things, you need to run some PowerShell script because this is in the preview mode. So if you go to Microsoft site, like there are few scripts which you need to run it in order to enable this option. Okay, then only you can create a sensitivity label for Microsoft Teams and Office 365 groups basically. Okay, so I have already created this strictly confidential. Okay, so I'll edit this particular label. So consider if the sensitivity has been selected as ID confidential, then what should I do is I should not be able to create a public team. Okay, so whenever you create a team, okay, just quickly show. So whenever you create a team, right? So you can see build a set. So now you see an option like private, public, and org wide, right? So now in case, basically once the sensitivity label is created and it has been applied, it also takes 24 hours to 24 hours. Once it is applied, you have an option to categorize this particular thing. Okay, you have a drop down kind of thing where you will be selecting the confidentiality. Okay, so in case if consider that you have selected as highly confidential, then I don't want to show this particular public thing. Okay, this should be private only because of the confidentiality. So those kind of things can be done using sensitivity label. Okay, so once I go here, the label, if you see here, so you can see when you're creating a sensitivity label, by default, you will not see this site and group settings option. Okay, this will be available only when you run the script, and that script is available in the Microsoft site. Okay, because since it is in preview, they have not enabled it here. Okay, you need to run the script. So if you see here, I'll just go to site and group settings. Okay, so you can set it up over here. If it is highly confidential, I just want to only members can access the site or anyone. I can, so you can just restrict it something like this. Only the private team or private group has to be created. So you can restrict it. And if it is unmanaged device, whether I can block the access, allow limited web only access, I can. So I can do all these settings at the sensitivity level also. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Vignesh.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So just folks, we might need to just go a bit faster. So what I'll do is I'll just get started with things. Sharing my screen. Just to let you know that the Skype for Business, I'm sorry, the Skype personal Skype to Teams interop is working. So this is how it is. See, this is me talking on my see, this is what I'm trying to do is here, and this is me logged in into my personal Skype. So if I'm doing things from here, it will show up here also. So it's just to tell you that hey, this thing works. As I said, you need to just give it an hour or so that just the hi came up here. And if I'm saying hi from here, you will see that also showing up there just to make sure that. So now you can also do a VoIP call as well, right? And then the next thing which I wanted to talk about is so the DLP. So DLPs, as Vijay was talking about, the DLP thing works. I'll just show you now. If you take a look at this test user, so I'm just trying to share my Amex. This is basically a US DLP policy that we have put in. I'm just trying to share my Amex card number, and if you just give it a couple of seconds, it's going to tell you that hey, whatever you're trying to share is a sensitive information and it won't allow to share. Okay, so you'll start seeing that when it should come up. Yeah, you just saw that there. This message was blocked. Okay, so just to let you know that if you're applying things carefully, it would work. And if at all you take a look at this, so Vijay has applied a retention policy which says 1 day, and if you say it has deleted all the older messages due to the org's retention policy. So we were playing around with the 1 day retention policy, and as an impact of that, it has went ahead and it has wiped off all the chats in this particular tenant. Okay, all right, so let's move quickly. And I really appreciate you folks, stretching and staying with us. And yeah, just give it a minute. Let me bring up. And then what's new for Voice Architect? So as I said, Teams is just not about collab. That is a whole new world, and there is a lot which happens on the voice side of things also. Things such as your audio conferencing, phone system, and we are talking about direct routing, and we are talking about CVI, and we are talking about MTRs, devices. So there is so much which is happening on that. In fact, that is a huge business for us in Microsoft, right? And let's try to understand what's new for voice architects. First of all, to understand how, because we are very new to the business of this voice. I mean, of course, Skype was really known for voice, but then when we got into this business, we had to really compete with Cisco and Zoom and all these big players. And guess what? So we've been comparatively doing better than all our competitors in this space. We take a look at this on March. So we were announced as the best product in the Enterprise Connect. So this is a conference which is basically focusing on the voice side of things, which happens, I believe, across March in every year. So we were announced as the best product there. And on July 2019, we reached 13 million daily active users and 19 weekly active users in Teams. And then we were announced in August as a leader in Magic Quadrant for under the UCAS segment. We just didn't stop with Gartner, and even in Forrester we were announced as a leader. And then a direct routing was announced in 80 plus countries around November. This was basically around the time frame of your Ignite. Now things such as direct routing and all those things, for people who don't come from a voice background, it might be very new to you. But when we are doing a session on intelligent communications is when we will deep dive and we'll be talking about phone system, direct routing, SBC. How do you configure that such things? How do you bring in your own SIP control and do things? So that is SIP trunk, and how do you integrate that with Teams? What are the calling plans that we have? And what are the meeting minutes when you're talking about audio conferencing? How do you do those? So those are all parked for the upcoming sessions, right? So these are some new innovation in team meetings. This is what we have shipping soon, and this is what we have planned in our roadmap. Later when I'm giving this slide to you, you can go ahead and go through it. But please be mindful that Teams client is available for Linux operating system. Teams is available for VDI also. So Citrix is our partner. So if you're using a Citrix VDI, you can have Teams client in that as well. We support chat, and recently we also started supporting calling as well. You can have Teams client running in Windows Server operating system also. Okay. uh, and this is something which was announced a couple of weeks back. Right now, of course, we all know the call quality dashboard which we have in the Microsoft Teams admin center. If you're going all the way down in your admin center, that is probably the last thing that you would see. This is basically something which measures how the call quality is, right, from server to server to client, when people are having meetings, when people are having VoIP calls and things of all that sort. How, and I think we have two versions. We have the Qualcomm version 2 and version 3. Around Ignite timeframe is when we introduced the version 3, and it has pretty much around 9 reports or something of that sort. Now, there was an ask about how we can get this information into Power BI, right? And if you want to hook up these reports and bring it into Power BI, that is possible. We have the Power BI connector. I'll quickly give it to Vijay to spend some 2 minutes and show how that report looks like. Vijay, if you can just show that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
It's coming up.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay. So, as Vignesh was mentioning, right, these are the sample reports which are already available. Okay, like this kind of, these are all
Don't
like a
see
template.
your screen yet, Vijay. Don't see your screen yet.
1 minute. Are you able to see now?
Yeah, yeah, it's better now. Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah.
Okay. So, call quality dashboard. So they have provided the certain templates like this. Okay, Power BI query templates, like 6 to 7 templates. They have already provided it. Okay, so I have just downloaded it, and once you have the Power BI desktop thing, you can just open that. And I have just logged in using my account. Okay, my tenant account. So what it does is it takes a data from my tenant, and using the template, all the reports are automatically generated. Okay, so call count summary, like there are multiple reports, like 6 to 7 templates that you have it over here. Okay, so you can see all the call related things available over here. But in case if you want to create your own query and do everything, there is a connector also available, which is provided by Microsoft. Okay, so this is the one, Microsoft call quality.pqx. So everything is available in the Microsoft site, and they provided the instructions also how to set up that connector and the query. So this is what it is, Microsoft call quality beta version. Okay, so you can install it, and then once it has been installed, you can query, like if you want to do some customized query against your tenant data, then you will be able to do and build the Power BI reports. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Vijay. We are almost towards the end. So, okay. And when it comes to the SBC partner for direct routing, and for folks who are new to this terminology called as direct routing, it is all about how you can bring in your existing investment or infrastructure which you have made for soft phone calling, right? And how you can integrate that with Microsoft Teams, right? So what I'm talking about is, today you can also use Microsoft Teams. If at all you are bringing in your phone system on calling plans queued together, you will see a dial pad. Just to quickly show you what exactly I'm talking about is something like this. If I scroll all the way up, uh, you know, this is what I'm trying to talk about. Right now, this is audio conferencing in your signature, in your Outlook signature. If at all you have the audio conferencing license given to you, every time you're scheduling a team meeting, you would see this, right? This is for people to dial in to the bridge, and you can also dial out as well. And there are various charges which we charge for that. Please go ahead and look into it. And calling plan is when you can also have a soft phone functionality like this, wherein you'll see a dial pad. You can dial in landline numbers, you can also dial in mobile numbers. There are calling, to put it in very layman terms, just imagine that you have bought a new Apple phone, which is nothing but it is a phone system. And when you have bought in an Airtel SIM card and you applied a plan for it and you put it, that is what is called as a calling plan, right? And for this to completely functionalize, you need to have a phone as well as a SIM card. Now that is the same case in your phone system as phone system license also. A phone system is something which gives you this dial pad functionality, and for your calling plan to work, you need to apply the calling plan. Now direct routing is something when you want to bring in your own hardware and you want to hook it up inside, right? Something like this. This is how the direct routing architecture for Teams would look like, right? So if I just want to put it on presentation mode, this is how it would look like. And there are various certified partners with whom Microsoft Team integrates. And one among them, so recently we introduced Oracle as one among those partners. I would seriously recommend to go ahead and spend some time on this link and try to understand what are the other partners whom we have in the space. Okay. So few more updates. We also have a dynamic E911 for calling plans. So based in the US, we have this functionality, right, wherein people call 911 for all emergency. Now that is possible for Teams calling also. You need to make sure that your network topology is set up accordingly. You need to configure the emergency location, emergency address, so that when you're trying to call, people will automatically come to your location and pick it up. I mean, this is how it works in the US, and that's now possible with Teams client also. And we have introduced a lot of new devices. If at all you're concerned about what are the news, this blog went just this blog just went yesterday live, I guess. So yesterday is when I saw this blog coming up live. And as you know, let me repeat this again and again. From Microsoft, we do not make the hardware. We are not into the business of making hardware, at least for this calling pieces and all, right? But then we certify the devices, meaning we partner with certain companies, and these are the devices which are certified. So we have personal devices. So these are the kind of headsets that you can use. Then we have something called as these. So Lenovo, this is something which you have. Then you have the team room accessories. These are all certified from Microsoft. Then you have the collaboration bars also. These we have, you have the spider phone, right? Then you have speakers, and then there is a lot. These are the new set of devices which we have launched. You can always go and Google Microsoft Team certified devices, and you can see the plethora of devices which we have in our catalog. Mm. And one more interesting piece which I wanted to always show is a lot of our customers see, what you need to understand is we are new into the business of calling and video calling and all, right? And of course customers might have interested in solutions such as Polycom or Avaya, or there could be some Cisco or whatever devices which they have. Now from Microsoft we say that, hey, for you to have a meeting room, or if you want to convert your video conferencing room into a Teams meeting room, you need to have so and so devices, right? But what if you have already invested on some, you have bought a Poly device, you have bought some other devices on all these vendors, right? It is also possible for you to join a Teams meeting using that. That is what we called as a cloud video interop. The technology for that is called as cloud video interop, meaning from a third party device you can be joining a Microsoft Teams meeting, right? And there are certain companies which offer this cloud video interop. So these are the organizations which these are the partners whom we work with: Polycom, Pixip, and BlueJeans, right? So most of their solutions are hosted in Azure, so that you can connect through you can securely connect to a Teams meeting. And this is something maybe in your room or in your offices. If you're having this is something which you can be interested, and you can start looking into that as well, right? Now, quickly, when it comes to the roadmap, so this is what has been rolled out. We are not going to spend time here. Later, when the slide is available for you, go ahead and look at it. Or you always have the Microsoft Teams Office, Microsoft 365 roadmap. Please go there and look into it. These are the things under development. Most of these things have already come up, I guess. There was a question about, hey, can I share system audio in live events? Today morning, I saw a blog which came up and it said, yeah, that is also coming up, right? So in a Teams meeting, you can share your system audio. In a live event also, that is coming up. And these are all under development. Okay. All right, so new resources for MS Teams. This is the last pillar that you should be aware of. So folks, I can't urge the gravity of these resources. These are really, really, really important, right? If you really want to make a career on Microsoft Teams, you want to understand this product deep dive from a dev standpoint, from an admin standpoint, right? These are really beautiful resources which we have. So I really recommend you folks go ahead, spend some time, right? One of my favorite is Teams upgrade planning workshops. It has a good amount of, it is a YouTube channel from Microsoft wherein there are very good videos which talks about how you can migrate from your Skype for Business to Teams, right? And these are some adoption resources. What if we have rolled out the product and you want to focus on adoption? And during this COVID scenario, we have launched the crisis communication power app, and there is also a crisis communication SharePoint site, right? If you want to understand how that works, and if you want to bring that for your organization, you could use that also. And this is another important thing for basically for admins, and this is one of the best resource available for you to go ahead and learn about Microsoft Teams administration, right? So this is what it is. You see a good amount of learning videos here. This is directly from Microsoft, by the way. Okay. And you have a lot of, and you can also see the videos, you can go through the deck. These are really deep dive, like level 300 types. Okay, so please spend some time, read through the stuff which is given here. And also be mindful that from Microsoft, for this COVID scenario, for our customers, we are giving them a free Office 365 E1 trial for 6 months for you to use, which is free. And if at all you're interested in using that, please go to this link and start reading about it. Okay. And live event, as we all know, it is a way for you to address a larger group of people. We know that live events support 10,000 attendees in Microsoft Teams, but we have recently come up with a new feature wherein if at all you want to increase the limit to 1 lakh, you can work with Microsoft and you can have that limit increased. Maybe what if your CEO wants to do an org wide live event and you're an organization who's like more than 10,000, you're like 50,000, 60,000 types, or you're like 1 lakh type, right? You can come and raise a request. So from Microsoft, there is a assistance which is given to you. In here, we support up to 1 lakh. All right. And I think that's about it. We are towards the end of our session.
So,
So if at
Vignesh,
all
there
you're
was
yeah, go
one
ahead.
question.
Mhm.
Can you confirm whether e-discovery works for private channels? I think it's no, right, as of
It
now.
is no at the moment. Yeah, it is no at the moment. Because see, most of the security and compliance features at the moment, the private channel is not yet supported, but then we are working on that in our roadmap also. That is coming. And yeah, so when you say why Microsoft Teams, it's pretty straightforward. So this is Teams is for every worker and it has intelligent communication. We have range of certified devices, and these are all are the best which you can consider in Teams, right? And these are the next steps. Of course, start using Teams, and if at all you're working on a deployment, we have fast track who can support you. And if at all you're focusing towards the adoption side of things, then we have the adoption hub which has a good amount of resources. With that, I think we are almost like 25 minutes ahead of more than the time which was scheduled. Thank you so much for having this patience and staying with us. So now it's the question time. I'll go ahead and stop the recording and you folks can start bringing up your questions. If at all you want to unmute yourself and ask the questions, please feel free to do it. We'll start going through the questions in the chat, and we'll start answering them. Once again, thank you so much for your time, folks.
Vignesh, there was